chicken. I'm your guy.
Blinking.
I'll have what Joseph has.
Look, somebody's talking about you.
This is what we call the voice of God.
Popping.
Everybody just gets to focus on you.
Grab me.
Probably not the best thing for an introvert.
I'm asking for you.
Well, I like a good chicken sandwich.
Touch me. Hi, David. Comment.
Oh my God.
Like.
You're actually an identical twin.
Push.
Maybe I'll just ask Julie to talk about what it is to be an identical twin.
Pick me up.
No, you didn't.
Shouting.
Surprise! Jeremiah, just hang on a second. I just got a text.
There's an edit for your new opening, Joseph.
I feel really honored to have been here, man.
By the way, you've done a masterful job. Seriously.
And it was such a joy.
Thanks, Joseph. It's an honor.
Good on you. This was a pleasure.
I mean, you are the prime example of how to pivot in this new environment.
I wish everybody gets an opportunity to interact with Joseph Jaffe.
Who needs Cameo when I've got my own personal Cameo? Well, hello everybody. Happy Monday. Hope you are well. It is another Monday in paradise. And why is it paradise? Because you're here, and because my guest is here, and because we get an opportunity to find out more about ourselves, about life, and about experiences over possessions. Just a great show lined up today. Lots of experimentation today. In fact, the after show today, there is an after show, but we are going to experiment with Twitter Spaces. I've done one before, but I've never done an after show. So let's see what happens. The only constant in life is change. So let's change. Let's continue to mix it up and see what happens. Let's also hug an Australian. It's Hug an Australian Day. It's international Hug an Australian today. So if you've got a little koala bear or a panda or just a chubby Australian, go ahead and hug them. Why not? Why do I say chubby Australian? Not to say Australians are chubby, but it's fat blogging time. And looks like I am 0.2 down. So looking good, maintaining my sub 180 pound life at the moment, all the way down from 205.5 at the start of 2020. But enough about my weight. Let's move on. Today, Julie Rose, Carol Kemmerer tomorrow, Bill Guertin, and Brent Menswar will hear all about the black sheep. That is Brent Menswar's wonderful positioning. But today we are focusing on Julie Rose. Julie is living not the joie de vivre, but the Julie de vivre, if you know what I'm saying. She's living it. She has an amazing story. She is amazing, and we'll find out that story soon enough. A little update on the JAFFE coin in the world of cryptocurrency. This is a snapshot taken just a few moments ago. Already those rally rewards are up there at $3,630 will be distributed amongst the entire community. I continue to just be amazed at what is possible in this brave new world. And one of the things that I'm actually going to be doing, which is kind of cool, is that if you are a JAFFE coin holder or a regular or a previous guest, when I do a show at 9 o'clock at night, if my guest can't do it at 9, we may very well end up recording at 12. We'll do it to an unlisted YouTube URL, and the people that will be able to interact and actually still be a part of the show at 12 will be JAFFE holders, regulars, and previous guests. And then, of course, the show will still be live at 9. So double the work for quadruple the fun. Math was never my strong suit. So just a little bit of an update about ways that there will be benefits and perks about buying into the JAFFE economy. Well, let's talk about birthdays. My cousin, lots of cousins today. Shimon Pesach, his birthday. Josh Perkins, another cousin. Mr. Jim Weiss, my buddy Gilon Gobrin had a birthday as well. Rafat Ali, Tammy Weigold. Happy birthday to you guys. And then on LinkedIn, just scanning the LinkedIn universe, I see Antonio, Srini, BJ Mendelson, Declan O'Neill, and finally today, happy birthday to Jack Harper. and Andy McNeil. I don't know if I repeated any, but if I did, happy birthday again. Well, now it's time to get into our seated soliloquy, and our seated soliloquy today is aptly titled, "Oh, the Places You'll Go." If you want to change your life, change your surroundings. Those wise words are from my guest today, Julie Rose. She went in search of life, sold 98% of her possessions, and became intentionally homeless. Another way to phrase it is, a change is as good as a holiday, but it doesn't quite hold a candle to Julie's quote. When we look back at this time, how many of us can say we changed our lives? Moreover, how will we look back at this time? With pride, with regret, ambivalently? Let's try that one again. Ambivalently. There you go. Did it pass in the blink of an eye, or did it drag on infinitesimally? Whatever you did or didn't do, my message is this: there's still time. There always is. You just might not see it that way, but there is time, and I can prove it. Start something today, like right now. In fact, at the end of this soliloquy, stop watching and go do it. Correction, watch to the end of the show and then go do it. No, don't. That was a trap. Start it today. And then tomorrow, look back on the past 24 hours and realize you're already on your way. Or let's just assume you didn't do anything about your hope, desire, dream, wish, or bucket list. But now it's tomorrow, and you're having the same Groundhog Day conversation about the next day, and I suppose the day after that. It's all relative. It always was. Perhaps you're already Googling Winnebagos and Airstreams. Perhaps you're already putting your possessions on eBay. Perhaps you're thinking about the first place you'll go. These days, all you really need is a mobile phone in order to be both personally and professionally independent. From calling an Uber to navigation and GPS, to taking a conference call, to creating content, to providing proof of identification in order to travel, to payment itself. Add a laptop to your kit, and now you're just showing off. We add so much unnecessary and unneeded complication but what would happen if we lightened the load, literally and figuratively, if we simplified our lives and with it reduced the burden on ourselves, our society, and even the planet? Freedom is within our reach and within our control, but so is captivity, self-imposed or otherwise. So I say, break free and liberate yourself. Make the change. Make it today. Make it right now. Well, that was today's soliloquy. And of course, my guest knows a thing or two about making these kinds of changes. Let's find out a little bit about Julie Rose. Julie Rose is a solo travel and minimalistic lifestyle blogger who loves adventure, wine, her dog, and the freedom that comes with being a single woman in her 30s, living the nomad life. She was born in Minnesota and lastly, a resident of Arizona. Julie went to college for broadcast journalism, and at the start of her career, she worked in 2 top 15 television newsrooms, but eventually left the newsroom for marketing and communications at national employers in retail and healthcare. She now works remotely from a different new city or state every few weeks, and she specializes in social media. In her spare time, you'll find Julie exploring and swooning over her new locale, taking in local eats and sips, or on an epic hike, usually accompanied by her fur baby and equally well-traveled dog, Penny. She's passionate about financial freedom, animal welfare, environmentalism, and women's equality. And in general, I'm just plain jealous of her. Let's say hi to her. Julie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me, Joseph. And I loved your soliloquy. I think if I took anything from that as one of your viewers, it would be go find the nearest junk drawer and get started recycling, selling, donating, whatever you want to do, one step at a time. Just go ahead and get started.
I mean, procrastination is such a big part of our lives, like in general, and and it's something that I keep trying to push people to realize that anybody can make a change, and we'll talk about that in depth today. But it actually begins by just doing it, And even when I give a presentation, I'll tell people almost every time, which is like, I've failed you if you get all excited about this and then you do nothing about it. So it's like, no matter how small or even seemingly insignificant, just make the change.
Definitely. And I think you might not even know that you're making a change or making a step in the direction that you want to. You might not even know what direction you want to go to, but just the simple act of, I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to stretch myself just a little bit. I'm going to tackle one little thing. All of that adds up over time and can get you great strides in the end.
So I want to just welcome a few of our regulars here. Mr. David Libby is watching on a Monday. Tom Morris is jumping on. I am intrigued as to whether Tom will gravitate to Twitter Spaces. Anna Bowman says, excited to try the new after show. Mr. Stephen Rubin is here. So we're glad that you guys are watching us today. Julie, you're definitely a sport. You hopped on and did an Instagram live with me yesterday. I mean, you've done them before, I'm sure many times, considering your life's adventures. But how did you feel it doing it with someone else? The kind of, two people, and you can do more, by the way. You can actually have 3 or 4 people on at the same time.
It's super fun. I don't like to always be the one talking, so I appreciate the chance to take a break and hear from somebody else, and I'm sure everybody else does too.
Well, today you're going to be doing most of the talking, so I've got bad news for you. But first, to go back to your, you being such a sport, we're going to find out some fun facts about you. And you are the first guest to send me about 12 fun facts when when I only asked for 3. But I love that because you gave me the opportunity to choose which ones I liked. And these are the ones that I decided to choose. So the first one is ever since Free Willy, you've become obsessed with killer whales. They are your spirit animal. If reincarnation was a thing, you'd come back as a killer whale. So what is it about the killer whale that makes it your spirit animal?
Well, they're so powerful. They can roam the world. They swim, miles and miles, but they also have this like intense loyalty and affection and closeness with their family. And I think that's really cool. It's no matter and it feels like, that's similar to my perspective, is my family spread all over the place. And no matter how far I go or how long I go or what I do, we still have this closeness. So one of the reasons I love killer whales.
Look, if ever I'm in a bind and I'm looking for a killer whale to step in and save the day, I know who to call on speed dial. Well, here's something else that we found out about you. And this is where the pressure is going to mount, Julie. You know exactly what's coming, which is if you were trapped in a TV show for a day, it would be Glee, because you would just sing covers and dance all day long. So there you are. You've been added to the cast. How about that?
Awesome. I mean, I wonder what would my part be? Would I be a teacher? Would I be a, counselor of some sort? Or would I be from a competing school and come in and make all the cast members jealous of my ability? Who knows? Who knows?
You tell me. Who would you be?
I kind of like the idea of being from, competing school and kind of coming in and shaking things up and seeing how the cast deal with that. I mean, I have to admit, I sang some karaoke last night here in Nashville. I'm going to sing some karaoke tonight. So I'm still living that dream. I'm still, working that in as much as I can.
It's the weirdest thing because I sing as well, and I love singing. But I get very, very self-conscious when with karaoke. I hate karaoke, and yet I love singing. Like I love, I do. Haven't done it for a couple of years, but I sing with my local school of rock, and but there's something about karaoke that just freaks the hell out of me. I don't know why.
I don't know.
I guess I feel like so self-conscious, like trying to, I don't know what it is. Help me, therapist, please.
I don't know. I mean, just go up with rock some confidence, grab that mic, and sing the words on the screen and put your heart into it. And I mean, everybody's there doing the same thing. No one is judging you.
Okay, what is your go-to song when you're doing karaoke?
Well, I don't have a go-to song, and that's because I'm a professional karaoke singer. I mean, I have like 50 songs. So I come in and I tell you, I have this whole logic around like, okay, what's the crowd? Is this the beginning of the night? Is this the end of the night? Is it a ballad, or do we need an energetic song? Are we thinking like 80s? Are we thinking country? So I really try to read the audience, see what, they might be into, what just works.
So there's the science of karaoke. You like literally like Dr. Rose is in the house. Well, I have a feeling you'd probably be singing 80s because there you are. We've actually you were Sade, but now now you've been added to the 80s. Look, I am a child of the 80s. By the way, my go-to song for some reason is Backstreet Boys. So that's the weirdest thing. I will do it with anyone to sing I want it that way.
Classic.
That's my song. That is my song. But my favorite band of all time and always will be is Queen.
Oh yeah, great. I mean, that's tough to sing. So I give you props for going for that. And I will say I have been diving into, you're right, to lots of 80s. I mean, almost always will sing "Don't Stop Believing." It's just a classic, and I even have some dance moves for that one. But lately, I've been singing some Pat Benatar. I've been singing "Total Eclipse of the Heart" by Bonnie Tyler. So I mean, 80s are great. Good times.
So Joey DeMont is clearly not happy about Backstreet Boys, even though he has a Minnesota connection. So he says, "I'm not sure we can be friends anymore. We are the champions, maybe. Everyone is a champion when you are hanging out with me on the show." But enough about karaoke nonsense. We're here today to talk about what I think is just a fascinating story. I mean, Nomadland won Best Picture. I mean, talk about timing is everything. You're in a way, I mean, it's obviously a different story, but you're living this nomad lifestyle right now, as you call it, being intentionally homeless. But your story, Julie, doesn't really begin now, right? It begins in 2017. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit about maybe the spark or the catalyst for this journey, right? This adventure of becoming financially independent and doing what I think most people, quite frankly, in this world just wish they could be doing.
Yeah, 2017 was kind of a rough year. It started out just fine. I was working at a company in a position that I really loved. I got to do all these cool things. I went to New York every couple weeks for this red carpet or that PR event, and was traveling a lot and having a blast, working a ton. Really loved what I was doing, but I was overworked, to be honest. And the company that I was working for had some issues with profits. And so they had this massive layoff where they let like hundreds of people go in one day. And me, I was thinking, oh no, there's no way they can lay me off. I'm the only one with all the passwords. I'm the only one that knows how to do this. And, being in social media, that's a powerful position to be in. And so I did not expect it would be me. And when, the email came, your position has been eliminated, file into the, conference room and get your packet and get the hell out. It was kind of like, damn, everything, my whole sense of self was just shattered. Because I had invested so heavily in this is who I am. My employment, I let my employment define me. And so when I lost that employment, I kind of lost a little, I felt like I lost a little bit of my own like self-esteem and my value, and just felt lost. And the next few months rebuilding that really, gosh, changed me. It allowed me to finally see everything that I have to offer, everything that I am, and who cares about your employment. So it set me on this path. And also, since I had been overworked, there was those, I had put off all the vacations, I had put off domestic travel, international travel, and I thought, I'm not going to jump right back into that. I'm going to take this time to kind of reflect and grow. And so I did a lot of domestic travel. Then I went to Europe for 4 weeks. And while I was in Europe is when I started to appreciate, gosh, I'm here with just my backpack, a 40-liter backpack, carry-on size, and living out of a backpack for 4 weeks, and then just realizing I'm having the time of my life. I don't have all the jewelry and all the clothes and all the outfits and all the accessories, and I'm so happy with just this. When I go back home, I'm going to take that lesson and I'm going to apply it and kind of just start over with a different mindset.
So a couple things happen. You solo travel, right? So being able to embark on travel but do it alone. So that's interesting, right? Because people, people are insecure. I mean, I am at the best of times. I love to be with someone else. You need a wingman or wing woman or wing person, a co-pilot. And you're there having to find resources from within in terms of making conversation, really loving the your best friend, which is the person that stares back at you in the mirror every morning. How resourceful do you have to be able to embark on solo travel?
I think there's two sides of solo travel. I mean, obviously there's a logistical, like, yeah, I gotta figure out where I'm going. I have to, book stuff. I have to get directions. I have to, figure all the logistics out. So you can't lean on anybody else for that. You need to lean on you. Like, I'm my translator. I am my navigator. I am my booker. I am my planner, and I'm my own company. So that's kind of one piece of solo travel. But really, well, and I guess I'll just to add on that, accomplishing all of that, dang, that gives you really, like, I can do anything. If I can get from this place in Ecuador to this place in Ecuador, switch a bus, switch 3 buses and figure out where I need to go and talk to somebody in broken Spanish, I can do anything, right? And that sense of accomplishment is so rewarding and so powerful. And then also to comment, Joseph, on your comment around traveling with others. Well, here's what I think about traveling with others. And obviously, you do you if that's really what you love. But what I have learned is when you travel with somebody, it's the two of you looking at each other. And you're looking in at each other. You're conversing, you're sharing, or whatever. But when you go out alone, it's this. You're looking out at everything else. And you're able to talk to that person. You're able to see this thing. You're able to have a completely different experience. And you're alone, but you're not alone because you're together with others that are out there too. And I think that's really special and also really rewarding. And everybody should experience solo travel.
I love that. And I also love your mini journey, right? From actually realizing, I forget who it was, but I think it was even last week. There was a guest who spoke about how when your actual entire sense of self is interlinked with your job, and you become defined based on your job, and it's not even your job or your career, but it's the company that actually keeps you. Something is lost or maybe never found, and in a way, you came full circle. You went from, from zero to hero. You went from a point where you felt lost to being found, to finding yourself, and finding all the strength from within, as opposed to it coming from externally. And that's and that's in a very short period of time.
Well, and I think it's something that's still ongoing, but it really changed in my mind where when I used to define myself as, okay, I work for this company and this is what I do, I became, no, I'm a solo traveler. I believe in minimalism. I love karaoke. I have all these passions. I have all these desires. I have all these things that I do. Oh, and by the way, also, have a real job. But we have to think about everything else that defines us, because if we define ourselves in such a small way and something happens, like you lose your job, well, I think a lot of people experience that this year. Your job doesn't define you. What does define you is, your attitude, um, your family relationships, your passions, your desires, your work ethic. All of these things are what defines us, and we just have to look at that with the right lens in order, honestly, to kind of preserve our self-esteem, our self-value, and get back out there. And if it is you who lost your job, well, find the other things that you enjoy and maybe find a new job later if you can.
Now, you went through this first period, right? 2017 circa, to 2020. And you talk about three things: minimizing, simplifying, and house hacking. So I don't know what that is. What is house or home hacking? That's the what I know what minimizing and simplifying is, but what is home hacking or house hacking?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was unemployed. I basically almost ran out of money because I also went to Europe for those 4 weeks. So I was, down to my last little chunk of change in my bank account, trying to find another job, trying to get some income back. And, part of the steps that I took, like you said, the minimalizing, the trying to pawn things and consign things and get rid of things that I didn't really need. But then I thought, hey, I have this asset, my house. Let me make it work for me. So I, rented out one of the rooms in my house on Airbnb. And I had actually been doing that for a little while. So that would bring in some regular income. But another thing that I did, knowing that I could be, a remote employee, I could be, temporarily nomadic with my position at work. What I would do would rent out my entire house, and then I would downsize into. I lived in a casita in Phoenix for 4 months, and if you don't know what a casita is, it used to be sort of back in the day. You have your nice big houses, and then maybe your servant would stay in the casita or something like along those lines. And so a lot of the historic homes in Phoenix have casitas. It's a 400 square foot studio casita for 4 months. And that allowed me to, I'm renting out my house, and the 3-bedroom 2-bath, I can command, a good rental price for that. And I'm just living out of a tiny little thing with my dog with just the things that I need. And I did that for a couple months this year, a couple months that year. And it allowed me to save up some money to just get me closer to the idea and the place of financial independence.
So you hacked your home while you were even still present. You're just around the corner, enjoying the arbitrage, the rental/mortgage arbitrage. But another thing that you really did was it was the beginning of this, I would say, beautiful movement in terms of what you would say, which is valuing experiences over possessions. And one of the things we do on the show is I always find a quote for my guest. Today, I have 2 quotes for you. Here is the first one: "Things you own end up owning you." And you will never guess who said that. Maybe you will, but I don't think you will.
I have no idea who said that.
If I said Chuck Palahniuk, I don't even know if that's correct. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I think he wrote Fight Club, maybe.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Well done. So
Ding
that's
ding.
actually from, yeah, ding ding, exactly. The only rule is the only rule to Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. But yeah, the things you own end up owning you, and so you know you've written some amazing articles and blog posts, and you talk about this, right? Living the mantra, experiences over possessions. But the other one, of course, is this idea of the ultimate possession. That typically defines everybody is your home, and now you've moved to this period of being deliberately homeless. So talk a little bit about that experience, right? I use the word intentionally, how you've recognized that, a la Fight Club, that what defines you are your experiences and life experiences over these things, these monetary and financial materialistic things that you own.
Yes, I mean, I think part of it is upvaluing experiences, but the other part of it, the other side of it, is downvaluing possessions. And it's easy for somebody to say, "Oh, I love experiences too. I love to have great experiences," but they still value their possessions. And you really have to put both together. And it just so happened that after, those months backpacking in Europe, there's a siren going on out there. Sorry. Um, the months backpacking in Europe, living out of the backpack, and then those months living in casitas or traveling elsewhere, that not only did I just say, these are the things that I have that I need with me just for this short period of time, and I kind of forgot about everything else. But then on the flip side, my house, all the things in my house, I stopped caring about them so much. Like, people are going to be living in my house, they're going to be sleeping in my bed, they're going to be using my kitchen. And it helped me, detach from the place that was my home, that I built, that I decored, and all of that. And both of that together really helped me to, oh, I don't really care about all the stuff in my house. Somebody else is using it. It brought down the value of it for me. And I forgot. I'm sorry. This is distracting. What was that second part of your question? Because I do want to address that one.
No, it's fine. I mean, there was this journey, or this continuum, as I said, I mean, you've just really said, I'll it doesn't even matter what I said. We'll jump on what you just said, which is you've come up with this really beautiful word or term, which is the concept of detaching, right? We attach ourselves to people, to, and to things, and the ability to detach on so many levels is a very, very powerful thing, which is the ability to, because you're not therefore dependent on them when you are able to detach.
Well, and when you think about, what do we really need? Do I need 24 pairs of shoes, pairs of high heels? No. The
Yes.
answer is
Oh,
no.
sorry. No, the answer is no.
Do we need, how much do we really need? And we can get by, and we can thrive, not just get by, but can we thrive on less? You're just eliminating so much more worry and stress and thought and decision making that is a waste of your energy, a waste of your time, is bogging you down, it's holding you down, it's making your life heavier. Let's lighten up. And you'll find that, gosh, I have a lot less to worry about. I don't need to pick out which of my 24 pairs of shoes to wear a day. I only got 4 to choose from.
Yeah, and I mean, this concept of I watched your one video of you packing in one suit. It wasn't even a suitcase. I think it was probably a rollaway or a backpack. And I was actually like quite, I think the thing that shocked me the most was that your flight was leaving in 2 hours. It wasn't like how you looked at undergarments and how you looked at all these different things in toiletries. It was the fact that I was watching the whole thing fascinated, and I was like, but her flight, I'm getting anxious. I'm starting to like scratch. I was like, Julie, your flight is leaving. Stop with the video. Did you make your flight?
Oh yeah, I always make my flights. Yes,
Have you ever missed a flight with all this travel?
Not for a few years, actually. No, and now too, packing up and having to get out of Airbnbs and hotels by 11. Like, I'm always out by 11. I'm always out by whenever I need to get out. It's easy to pack when you don't have a lot of thought into things, and you're like, this is all I've got, so I need to put it away, and then I just need to put it in the car or put it wherever it needs to go and get out. So, you know, Joseph, you have too much stuff if you can't pack and get to the airport in 2 hours.
Well, I'm flying this weekend, so let's just see if I can detach one pair of shoes. I'm actually going to watch your video, but I will not be doing. I'll do my own video, but it will not be 2 hours from departure, mainly because I live about an hour away from the airport. Our resident philosopher, Mr. Tom Morris, says detachment from stuff is so hard for so many people. We're like little squirrels who surround ourselves with our favorite nuts. When I think about how many suits and pairs of dress shoes I own, I'm really perplexed at the former me for going, oh, this is nice. Here's my credit card. So there you go. He's right now, he's busy putting all of his dress shoes as well on eBay. And maybe he's going to pursue the nomadic life. You never know.
Well, whether or not you pursue a nomadic life, I still think it's a good exercise for all of us to really go into our drawers, to go into our closets, and just like, oh my gosh, think about it, you know, and do the math. If everything in here was $1, more likely, you know, $1 at the cheapest end, that's not likely, but you know, $100, $200 at the front end, at the top end, add that all together and think about how much money that is. And then what could that have funded? Safari in Africa, you know, a cruise around the world. Like, all of our money, we are dumping it into these things like status symbols and possessions and stuff that doesn't matter, when really refocus that and actually reprioritize. If you care about experiences over possessions, put your money where your mouth is and live the experiences and forget the possessions.
Yeah, and I mean, and you've just said it, right? Which is if ever, but by the way, all of these beautiful images in the background are your images, and I actually realize right now your head is on your body and my head is on your dog, which is fine. But I mean, these are all your photos. These are not like, you know, stock photos. To like, oh, let me find some examples of exotic backgrounds. These are your backgrounds. This is your life, Julie Rose. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm living the dream. And I think, you know, one of the quotes you mentioned earlier, don't live life by default, live life by design. And too many of us are stepping into the default. Okay, graduate college as quick as you can, get a job as quick as you can, work all the time, you know, build a house, get married, have the kids, have the white picket fence. And there's other, you know, life is not one size fits all. It shouldn't be. We shouldn't all be chasing the same thing. We should think about, what do I want? Not just what is dictated to me, what has been conditioned into me. You can live a life that's not traditional. And that's what I'm doing. And I want others to really think on that, wait a second, I don't have to like follow these puzzle pieces around, or not puzzle pieces, board pieces around this. I can write my own board game.
So speaking of board games, which I'm sure you play a lot of when you're traveling, what happens obviously with the craziness of the world over the last 12 months, what happens with you is with this dress rehearsal, right? With solo travel, with this idea of experiencing your own financial independence, with simplification, with this minimalistic approach, with home hacking, you decide to make one hell of a move. I was watching your video where you say, people of Arizona, you know, Julie out. I'm on my way. So tell us about was it an epiphany, or was it just more of this gradual outcome, because all this time, I'll use the phrase, puzzle pieces were now in place?
Yeah, so we haven't even got to this part. All right, I'm actually, house is on the market. I am out of here. I am homeless. And I think part of it was just like these things that added up that made me, wait a second, I can do this. I was trying to do little trips here and there, you know, COVID safe trips. I was coming back to Arizona, and it was hot and things were closing, and then I had to pay for my house in Arizona, and then I was paying for different places that I was traveling to, and I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. So logically, I was thinking, what are the reasons I have to pay for things at once? And I want to maybe it's a good time to sell my house with the housing market being hot. So I was thinking kind of, on the, analytically, like what's smart for me to do here. But then emotionally, being in Arizona and it's so hot and I can't do anything and stuff's closed. And if I'm working in my house and working remotely, well, I can work from another house wherever I want it to be. And there I can go outside, I can enjoy the weather, I can be with my dog, and we can explore and live and adventure. I think that it was a little bit of epiphany that, wait a second, common denominator here is this house is weighing me down. It's keeping me here. It's something that I have to keep coming back to and dealing with. And I just decided, well, if I get rid of the house, what do I do with the stuff in it? I don't really want to store it. I don't want to transport it. I don't have a place to transport it. I guess that means getting rid of it all, and went down this path. And here I am now.
It strikes me that it's funny because for some people, maybe for most people, having a home is the ultimate liberation. I've arrived, I've made it. Look how free I am that now I have a roof and I have arrived. But it's funny how in the blink of an eye, your liberation can become, that home can become a cage, can become an oppression. I remember even living in New York City, and it was New York City, the greatest city in the world. Get a cab anytime you need it, etc. And then one day, I'll never forget the day my daughter, she was really young at the time, was really sick, high fever, and I needed to get her to the doctor ASAP. And it was pouring with rain. And when I say pouring, I mean torrential. And I remember leaving the 32nd floor of our luxury rental high rise that we lived in and could not get a cab. And she was really sick. And I had a moment like in Platoon in the movie where I actually walked into First Avenue and I went down on my knees and I just raised my hands up like to the heavens to like get a cab to stop. I was insane to actually almost do this because I was so hysterical. And I remember that there was that moment when I just could not wait to get the hell out of New York City. It had closed in on me. And now, I still, I refer to myself as a New Yorker for life because I was there during 9/11. And I still love the fact I can get on a train and be there within an hour. But I could not leave there quick enough. And it was amazing how something that had given me so much joy and freedom had now just, done a complete 180.
Yeah. Well, and I think I was the person that put down roots too. And then I decided I would rather have wings. So I dug up the roots and I traded in the roots for the wings. And I think the wings have given me so much more freedom, because what is a house? It's just a place to put your stuff. Given me so much more freedom to move around like this, to do and see exactly what I want. And I'm remembering now, I think one of your question from before, from when I was distracted with a siren, it has to do with Nomadland, right? There was a quote in Nomadland, which I don't remember the exact quote, but basically it resonated with me that what is a home? Is it a place? Is it shelter? Is it, where you put your stuff? Or do you feel home within yourself? And then if you don't associate home with a place, then you don't feel that attachment to the home. And here I am making my own homes, because home is where I am, where my dog is, both of us together doing our thing. And looking at it this way, you are free. You are free to have, whatever home you want.
Home is where the penny is, as opposed to home is where the heart is. But you know that I saw so many amazing quotes, right? One of them was exactly about roots versus wings, as well. Love that quote. I told you that I found a second one for you because apparently, according to my crack research, with my 27 full-time social media practitioners busy doing research, I found this one. This apparently is the most famous quote on the nomad lifestyle of all time. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent on arriving. Um, and
I
that
love that.
is Lao Tzu. So that was another one that I thought was kind of interesting as well. No fixed plans and is not intent on arriving. Very open-ended, that statement. Very thought-provoking.
That sticks with me. That really hits here. And what I think about that is there's this mindset of I'm trying to get to the finish line. The finish line is where it's at, and people ignore the journey along the way and how powerful that is and how impactful it is and all that you can learn and all you can see. And they close their eyes to that and they're just looking at the finish line. And I think that's a major failure. And so people have asked me, well, where do you want to go in 1 year? Where do you want to be at the end of this? What are your intentions? And like, do I have to have that planned out? No, I'm living day by day, week by week. I barely know what I'm doing in a month because I'm going with the flow. And honestly, when you go with the flow, where you don't prescribe things and make things happen, that's where the beauty happens. That's where the magic happens. And that's where so many of the magical and impactful moments in my life have occurred.
It makes me realize that you don't have to always have an answer for everything, right? People come up to me as well and go, "What's your monetization strategy? What's the end game?" And I realize it's okay to just say, "You know what? I haven't figured that one out yet, but I am having fun. I tell you what, I'll let you know as soon as I do." You'll be the first to know when I've magically monetized. But I love that. And I think it also, Julia, comes back to what you were saying before, right? Which is the arrival, right? So that wonderful quote, success is a journey, not a destination. And maybe you never arrive because the goalposts keep on getting shifted out, because life, just sends you, maybe you could look at it as a curveball, or maybe you could just say life sends you a new adventure, a new challenge as well. And so there are two groups of people, right? There are the people that are, going back to what you said, as quick as you can and all the time, right? I got to get a job. I got to get a mortgage. I got to get married. I got to have kids. I got to do all these things because this is what society says I should be doing at this stage in my life, at this age of my life. And then the second part of what you said is the all the time, that it becomes unrelenting and relentless, that it's never ending. And for you, your biggest challenge, you were saying it earlier before in the green room, is Wi-Fi, because in every Airbnb, in every market you end up at, it's a different set of challenges. That's hopefully that's your biggest challenge on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean that's right. It's okay. There's the siren coming out of the street over there, and kind of running into the unexpected stuff. But what's beautiful about not planning or not prescribing or not dictating and itinerizing every single second of every single day is that, one, magic can happen, but two, if stuff goes wrong, well, you don't know what's wrong or what's right because you never had a plan for what was right. It's more of an emotional well-being kind of thing, that I'm not going to get, upset or pissed off if something goes wrong because, hey, I know it was going to happen anyway. So I'm just going with it.
Well, the final part of your wonderful story, and it's a story, of course, that is, it's not done yet, not by a long shot, is, this liberation as well, and maybe a journey to not even find yourself. I think you found yourself, but you continue to discover and rediscover yourself. And I mean, you talk about rejecting the status quo and societal expectations. And so you've been very, you've written beautifully on the fact that you're, in your 30s and single, but looking, I'm not, and how you really have, blazed, it's not even blazed your own trail. You're just living your life, and may the chips fall where they may.
Mhm.
So I would love for you to talk a little bit about, like, what have you know, what have you learned about yourself during this period of time? What has surprised you about yourself? Maybe pleasantly and even unpleasantly, on both sides of the continuum.
I think um, what has been really important to me and what continues to be important to me and what I continue to work on is honing my intuition and trusting my intuition and listening to it as soon as it starts, as soon as it starts quivering, instead of like, let's just see how this plays out. I am getting, I'm trusting with wholeheartedly my intuition, and I am never going to lower my standards for anybody, and that's because my life is so rich. I don't need a partner to fulfill me. I don't need, there's no void that someone needs to fill. There's nothing that someone needs to do to make me whole. I am already whole. So coming at it like that anybody who ends up in my life, in the position of a partner, is because he adds to my life, he enriches my life, he makes my already rich life even better. And honestly, those are probably, that's probably a tough role to fill. So in the meantime, I'm out here, I'm trusting myself, I'm leaning on my intuition, I'm leaning on my gut, and I'm not going to lower my standards because my life is whole and rich.
I mean, I love that, and there is, I think about your analogy with the invisible, the invisible person attached to you here, and I think a- and I think whomever and whenever, if ever, it doesn't matter. The fact is, it's not going to be that for you. It's not going to be locked in. It's going to be, it's going to be something different, and I guess you'll know it when you see it. But you
Mhm.
brought up something else, which has been something that discussed on the show as well, which is the power of intuition and gut, and that it's actually like a physical. It actually is a physical. Well, it's different for different people, but sometimes it actually is a tingle, a goosebump, a pit in your stomach, a spidey sense, and it never. If you actually understand it and recognize it and trust it, it will never fail you. What
Mhm.
fails us is this: when we start to overthink and second guess ourselves.
Yes.
You're the second person to actually talk about how powerful gut is.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really hit home for me, that as I was kind of looking into this, is that intuition is not this like hocus pocus, like spiritual, weird, it's not like magic or anything. What it is all that we've ever learned, all that we've ever experienced, all that our brain is doing these calculations, is using logic and using prior experiences and running so many formulas so quickly that we don't realize that no, we are actually thinking, and we have come to this conclusion that something doesn't feel right. Too many people dismiss that feeling that something doesn't feel right as hocus pocus, when actually, if you think, no, it's your brain making all these like decisions in milliseconds that are guiding us to this ain't right. That they're not trusting themselves, and we really do, we need to trust that we've lived lives and we've seen something here before that doesn't sit quite with me, and I'm going to listen to that.
I think there's something also very interesting about this conversation about gut and intuition, because we're talking about trusting gut when it's the right decision, but also trusting gut when it says something's not quite right. And I think how to maybe tell the two apart, even when I think about hiring someone, is, well, they kind of I have a couple of concerns, but I need to hire someone. there is a way to actually throw all of that out the window and just say, it's got to all just feel good. It's got to all feel right. Otherwise, keep looking. Why
Yeah.
settle? Why settle? Why settle on anyone or anything or any place? Why not actually go for a, home run? Because we only get one life. We may as well make the most of it.
Yeah, I hear that, and I think too, if you ask people, what do you regret? It's not going for it, not trusting myself,
Yeah.
not taking those chances. And I don't want to live that way. And I've seen it happen to so many people. It happened, on my dad worked his entire life for retirement that he didn't even get to enjoy. And it's a tale as old as time. So while we're young, while we're healthy, while we have some means to do it, even though you have some obligations, there's ways to work all that out and really live a life that is not by default. Right?
Yeah, you only regret the things you didn't do. Bob Farnham says, I found that writing down the intuition opens the path to more. And Tom adds, Socrates said he had an inner voice that never told him what to do, but often told him what not to do, and that it was always right. So, Julie, you and Socrates, you and Socrates, maybe Socrates would have been your perfect travel partner. You never know. You never know. Well, in our final few moments together, I love this. First of all, I've pasted and posted a link to your wonderful YouTube channel first of all, not only can you follow Julie's journey at juliedevivre.com, but you can subscribe. Please do subscribe to her channel and watch her videos. But more importantly, where and when should she visit next? So this is an opportunity to connect with her on Instagram. Where have you been to Have you been to Africa? Have you been to South Africa?
No, I have not. Actually, I wanted to do that in the year of the pandemic, but obviously that didn't happen. So, I should rebump that up on the 2021-2022 plans.
I think so. Why don't you connect with Julie on Instagram and tell her where she should go next? Or, of course, we're going to head over to Twitter and play around with Twitter Spaces as well. But you can connect with her on all of these platforms. She is a social media maven at the end of the day. So you can connect with her on all these channels, maybe even including Clubhouse at some point as well, or maybe not. Clubhouse has had a pretty tough week, but that's another story for another another day. Julie, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging with you, finding out about your story. I told you that I'm just that I've been jealous, but jealous in a good way. Bob says Vermont in the spring is beautiful. Those spring greens are amazing. And Glenn is telling you to go to St. Vincent. Many options, and you will no doubt get to explore them as well. Tom, how do you find us on Twitter Spaces? Just find us on Twitter. And I don't know, update the app. Maybe you will see us soon enough. Julie, any final thoughts before we head on over to our after show?
Just that, I hope you all get connected because the journey is continuing, the story is continuing, and I'm actually going to be putting all these words to paper and publishing a book, hopefully end of the year. So I hope you connect with me so you can get updates about that.
Well, I hope you will come back when your book is published, and we will continue to evangelize and sing your praises. Let's head on over to our after show. And of course, final word goes to Mr. Chuck Norris, who gets to give the final verdict on our guest.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Julie. I'll see you in the virtual Twitter sphere in a few moments.
See you soon.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author and global keynote speaker, Joseph JAFFE. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.